the sky.
Look in the sky.
Keep your head up high.
High. Keep your head up high.
Take a look into the sky.
Here comes Good Magic on the outside for the final quarter mile. Justified turns for home in front. Good Magic in a full-out drive with 3/16 to go. But Justify and Mike Smith are digging down on a 2-length lead. Good Magic is wandering about the track from far behind Audible Rallies to be third. They're coming to the final 16th, and it's Justify and Good Magic and Audible. Justify in a 2-length lead. Final try from Good Magic. All rise for Justify. The Kentucky Derby was never in doubt. Wins by 2.5.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream. Today, Ron Nicoletti along with ACACIA, Courtney, and there you saw Justify winning the Kentucky Derby in a sea of slop.
That's right, and Justify a perfect trip under jockey Mike Smith. Went to the front, and a good effort by Good Magic, as we were saying yesterday, kind of our hometown horse with Florida-based owners to be second, and our Florida Derby winner, Audible, very close up in third. So really a fun way to watch the Kentucky Derby. Of course, you do have that wet track to deal with, but they did say Justify is on to the Preakness, so we'll see him at our sister track up at Pimlico.
Yeah, no, Audible lost the second by about that much. And Aaron, my pick, Hofberg, keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
He ran pretty good.
He was running
seventh,
late.
but he was running late. And, you know, we had to deal with that off track, so it's going to be fun. Hope they all end up in, as you mentioned, the Preakness, but we'll have Justify there going for the second leg of the Triple Crown. Right here at Gulfstream Park, we're starting today with a good main track and a good surf course. A little bit of rain this morning, but it's been a beautiful day thus far, and I think everything is going to dry out real quick. And, of course, the big news here, over $900,000 in the Rainbow Six.
Well, that's pretty big news. There was, I think, just one ticket alive yesterday in the Rainbow Six after we had a couple of long shots in the early part of the sequence, alive for more than $1 million. And do note, yesterday we started off with a good track. It was upgraded to fast throughout the afternoon. So definitely, I think, a possibility that that could happen again today.
And the other news is Gulfstream Park Championship leading rider Luis Saez in today to ride a couple of horses.
That's right. He did lose his mount in the last for Todd Pletcher, but he's riding in the first on Cryogenic and also in our stake today in the Jeblar on Graded Stakes winner Classic Rock. So fun to have Luis here. He rode the Kentucky Derby yesterday, got on a plane, and back down to South Florida.
Those jockeys are amazing how they can do that. Now let's run through today's menu. We're going to offer you, and you've seen the first race. Of course, we got the early pick 5. Keisha will have her ticket in just a few moments. And I think the Super High 5 today starts in race number 3. And the rolling Super High 5 in every race with 7 or more runners.
That's right. So keep an eye out for that throughout the afternoon. $1 rolling Super High 5 starting in the third today. And then the big story, as Ron mentioned, is that Rainbow Six. It just keeps going. $934,000. It starts in race 6 today. Just a 20-cent base wager.
20-cent base wager, and it was $1,088,000 to the winner yesterday. If that one
Not too bad.
Not too bad. So that was amazing. And of course, we end the day with our final pick 5. And in case you'll also have a ticket to show you a little later on in this program. Now let's go right into the first race with your early pick 5. The turf course, as we mentioned, listed as good.
That's right. We'll show you my ticket. I do have a single coming up a little bit later on. And in race number 1, welcome back, Luis Saez. He's aboard the number 3 Cryogenic for trainer Mike Maker. The horse that actually opened up as the favorite very, very early in the wagering to the outside, the 7 Paco and Saco. We did lose, I think, a key scratch of Nobody Knows Nothing. So I just used those 2 horses in the first leg. And in race number 2, this is just a really awesome, hard-knocking group of horses. You've got the likes of Blings Express looking for his 23rd career victory. It's just incredible, this horse. So, and everybody in that field, really, really nice field coming up there in race number 2. And in the third race, I'm going 3 deep as well. Race number 4, moving on 3 deep in there. I think a couple of evenly matched horses. We'll see what we get with the new trainer switch, Foxy Mischief, going to trainer Ralph Nix. And then my single comes in our stake on the day in the Jeblar Classic Rock. He won the Grade 3 Gulfstream Park Sprint last time out. Luis Saez in town to ride him. I think he handles this horse beautifully. And Kathy Ritvo done a great job with him, keeping him in good form.
Yeah, and he looks like absolutely the one to beat. And that's not a part of the Rainbow Six, or would have been a single in my Rainbow Six, which starts in race number 6 today, by the way, with that 11-race card. So let's go right into the first race. And you mentioned the 3 Cryogenic. This one proved he could compete at this level. He stepped up off that $35,000 claim taken by trainer Mike Maker and finished second at this level and distance. You mentioned Luis Saez into ride right now on the board at 5-2, but once again, very early in the wagering here for our first race of the afternoon.
That's right, and I believe they will be putting the blinkers back on for Cryogenic, which I think will be pretty key for him. And he's a horse that we followed for quite a bit, as he does have some antics in the stretch sometimes. He was claimed away from trainer Mark Cassie, and Mike Maker stepped him back up into special weight company last time, and he actually ran well as the tepid favorite. I imagine with Luis Saez aboard and with those blinkers going back on, I think that he's definitely going to show an improved effort today.
Now, the horse you have in second, Paco and Sacco, will break from the outside. He's got that speed, and I think the scratch of Nobody Knows Nothing's really going to help him this afternoon.
I think so too. And Paco and Sacco, just looking at his last few races, I mean, he's been so consistent. He's run very good races, just hasn't won. And of course, that's the issue. He is an 0 for 9. He was exposed against maiden $20,000 types. They stepped him up to state bred maiden special weight in his last couple. But he's kept his own. And again, he does have that speed. So it's going to be a hurdle for him to try to get the win today, but I respect him.
Yeah, we'll see how the turf course plays. As we mentioned, listed as good. Now, the horse I have in second, you have in third, Mr. Stark. He's a half-brother to juvenile Phillies turf winner Pancake, out with blinkers this afternoon, set that pressured pace. Finished fifth behind Cryogenic. Stanley Gold, Edgar Zayed, trying to throttle down this horse is very keen early.
He is, and I think maybe those blinkers on will help him to settle a little bit early, and he's been pretty fun as well. The sire, Lava Boy. Jason had actually talked to the owners from the family of Lava Man. He was a teaser at Arundel Farm, and they've given him a chance, so pretty fun to see Mr. Stark with a little bit of ability.
And the current 9-5 favorite, just real quickly, Rocky Strange stretching out to mile, have this steady along the inside. He had some trouble in that race last time out, early in the wager, and he's the current favorite. Let's go to race number 2. 6 furlongs, a starter optional claimant, 3-year-olds and upward. We do have a scratch in here of the number 6, Little Meatballs, so we'll have to deal with that. But boy, you got some hard-knocking campaigners, and you mentioned Blings Express, Harry He, Fish Fan, a lot of good horses in here.
Yeah, they really are, and we're going to backtrack to that last race between Blings Express and Harry He. This was just such an all-out drive. I mean, look at the two of them ahead of the rest of the field. Blings Express, the gray, very easy to spot on the inside, the number 6 that day, and Harry He, the number 10. And those two just dueled the entire way. And I think basically what happened was that Blings Express just slightly outgamed Harry He. Harry He, I thought, lost nothing in defeat. He ran a very good race, as he always does. But Blings Express, as I mentioned earlier, he's a 9-year-old gelding. That was his 22nd career victory out of 77 starts. And it's worth noting, too, that the third-place finisher, Social Roy, came back to win as well.
And, you know, Blings Express, a 10-time winner at the distance. What I always liked about Blings Express, he doesn't need the lead all the time to win. He can come from a little off the pace, and I just think he's the one. Now, you mentioned Harry He's dropping into this spot after dueling inside, finishing third. That was a $62,500 optional claimer last out. He's really consistent.
He really is. And even stepping up to tougher company on paper last time out, he was still only beaten by 3/4 of a length. He doesn't win as much as Blings Express does, but he's always right there. And it will be, I think, a little bit less pace on because of the scratch of Lil Meatball, who was a speed type 2. But Fish Fan is not slow either. So I actually split in my exacta with the 5 Express Jet, who is coming off of the layoff, but I think he's going to be one that's running late, and maybe he can pick up a piece.
Yeah, just to touch on Fish Fan just a little. He really had a good meet up at Tampa. He won 3 of 5 races back from Monty Thomas and Edgar Zayas in the saddle. Now, race 3 this afternoon. This one is about 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Claim is 3 and up. Non-winners of 2 in life or 3-year-olds. And let's see. You started it off in here with the number 2 horse. Tell me why.
I did, and I know that this is tough because it's a 6-year-old gelding who ran in graded stakes towards the start of his career, and certainly things did not pan out as they had anticipated. But he came off of a very big layoff from June of 2015 to February of 2018, and just running against much tougher. I thought his first race off the layoff without the blinkers and on the turf was perhaps his best performance, and behind a repeat winner in Coleman Rocky. Not to mention, Patrick Biancone's barn has really picked up steam lately. He's had a couple of nice winners over the past week. I like the blinkers off and the drop in class.
Yeah, he's the one that I had on the ticket, but I was had him a little further down the ticket. Who I did put on top was the 6. Can't Take It With You. He was making the 3rd start back from after shipping in from Laurel, hoping to improve on the pair. But I thought of competitive efforts at this level and distance. He was 4th place 2 starts back track. Then he comes back. He sets the pace and finishes second. It's Lily Courtney's got Tyler Gaffalione named to ride. I just thought that was a logical choice. Now, the horse that you have in second, and I do, is the number 9, Crown to the Goal.
Well, if you all remember, I had been chasing this horse since, what was it, September 1st? So he finally got his win on April 12th, and we're going to backtrack to that victory. It looked like it was just a matter of finding the right spot and, more importantly, getting the right trip. He was the number 10 that day. Pretty easy to spot in the Big Lick Farm colors with those green and yellow blinkers. Shifts outside, I thought, a very good ride by Sammy Camacho, who was riding that day. Manhattan Project is the number 8 on the outside. I thought he ran a very big race as well, but impressive for Crown to the Goal to get the win. We'll see if he can keep that good momentum going.
Yeah, he won by that really hard four-nose. Trainer Reed Nagel, he's pretty solid, winning consecutive races, about 25%. So logical contender in there. And then we both I used a little further up. We just have our same selections, flip-flop. What a classy laddie. And this one is stretching out around 2 turns. First start, finishing a late running 4th. That was 25 claimers. That was going 5 furlongs. I think this gelding might be part of the pace this afternoon.
I think he's going to be forwardly placed as well. Can't Take It With You showed speed last time out. And now what a classy laddie, stretching out and dropping in class. Now a fresh gelding. Maybe all of those things will come together to give him a good trip.
Well, we'll turn the page and go to race number 4, 6 furlongs. It's an allowance of state bred for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Non-winners of one other Dan, excuse me. Now, you went to the, I had a tough time with this race. I don't have the 1 anywhere on my ticket. So we'll start with your 1 and
well,
explain.
I don't have the 6 anywhere. So, well, okay, we'll start with the 1 then. I was looking at this race, and I thought it was a very tricky race as well. And so when I have a trouble with a race like this, I try to kind of map out how I think the race might play out. And I see Fontanaza going to the lead, who's been very consistent. We both have her in second. I think you kind of have to. Rochella, the number 4, has got a lot of speed as well. And the 2 has just been, Lil Be Quick has just been running against Tougher. And I think that she is one that wants to show speed. So I started looking for a closer and one that's been running against tough competition. And the 1 Ula Gal, I had actually liked her a couple of weeks ago, and she scratched out of the race. She comes out of a key race. Star Cloud came back to win again very impressively, as well as another horse. And I think that she's going to be tactical. She's got to deal with the inside post. I don't love that. But I do like Nick Juarez in the saddle, and the slight turn back to 6 furlongs.
I have to go back and look at that horse. I did not use that one. But number 6, One Breath at a Time, is dropping into the state-bred allowance, contested at 3/4 of a mile after following a second-place finish. That was in the 6 furlong, $75,000 any limit. That was a couple of starts back. Then comes back, presses the pace, weakens to finish 3rd. But that was in the 7 furlong, $75,000 game face. Stanley Gold, Edgar Zayas in the saddle. I think this one classes up really nicely in this spot.
She does. And this is a filly I kept going back to and wanted to include her, and I just ended up going with some others in here, but no knocks against, especially her performance 2 starts back against 11s for Jimmy Jerkin. So I think that she's run against good company.
Yeah,
as well.
11s has had 1, 2 in a row. Very nice horse. Now, I always love saying this horse is named the number 7, Fontanaza. You touched on this horse. Turn it back.
Well, you're Italian.
Fontanaza.
That's right. You got to do this. Yeah.
Turn it back to 3/4 of a mile. Followed that open length to maiden victory at the distance. Solid allowance effort at 7 furlongs. She broke slowly, rushed up, set a pressured pace. She was okay that day.
She really was. I think dirt sprinting is exactly what she wanted to do. She ran okay on the turf, but nothing like what she did on the dirt. And I too like her going the 6 furlongs versus the 7/8.
Well, the number 3, Foxy Mischief, now in the Ralph Nix barn. This sort of Into Mischief will face state-bred competition locally. Hit the board in 1 of 3, $62,500 optional claimers when sprinting at Oaklawn Park. I want to show you a stat on Ralph Nix. First after a trainer switch with a 31 to 60-day layoff right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 8 for 30, 27%, 47% in the money, and a positive return of investment of $2.65.
That's not too bad.
No, I think you might want to take a second look at that horse.
Yes, I think so. And this horse has run solidly against good company at Oaklawn and does come out of a key race that produced 2 next out winners.
Well, race number 5 this afternoon. It is feature race time. 6.5 furlongs, 3-year-olds, and up $75,000. It's the Jeb Blar and the big favorite in here, and rightly so. so is the number 2 Classic Rock.
Rightly so. He won the, as I mentioned earlier, the Grade 3 Gulfstream Park Sprint, and we're going to backtrack to that race. And he was a pretty good price that day. It was about 5-1 under jockey Luis Saez, who's ridden him to victory in his last 2, and he's going to ride him again today. And here he is as we pick it up at the quarter pole in the green cap of Reeve Thoroughbred Racing. You see the red Navarro blinkers of Rock and Fellers. He was actually the main pace setter in here. And what I liked most about this performance, you see still a bit late switching leads. That's always been one of his issues along the way, sometimes not even switching at all. And I think that Classic Rock, though, showed another dimension in sitting off of the pace a little bit and not necessarily just a need the lead type.
And you can't go wrong with Luis Saez deciding which way that this horse needs to compete in a certain race. So certainly the one to beat. Now I found it a little harder going into the second and third, and we're almost in agreement, well, at least with the exacta. Cautious Giant is stretching out an additional half furlong after returning from a layoff to finish a rallying third. It was a $62,500 optional claimer, and that was contested at 3/4 mile. A logical contender in here, I think.
He really is. As you said, he won in the Claiming Crown Rapid Transit. He was second in the Rail Splitter behind a really classy horse in Delta Bluesman. So he's kept really good company. I think that he's going to be, he's going to be tested a bit against a graded stakes winner with the like of Classic Rock in here. But to me, he was the logical other horse, if you will. And he does have quite a bit of back class. Quite a claim for Victor Barboza.
Yeah, very good claim. And I used Diamond Bachelor in third. This one 2 for 3 in the money at the distance. Albeit without that victory, 3 starts, those 2 seconds, turning back. Steady dose of stakes races on the dirt and the turf. Contested at distances from 8.5 to 9 furlongs. So we'll see if this is a good spot for Diamond Bachelor.
That was the biggest thing. I said, I just even remember at the start, I mean, he even ran in the WL McKnight going 1.5 miles on the turf. I'm like, can he go 6.5 furlongs? And it's interesting. He's actually had 3 starts at this distance. And I kind of look back, it was, towards the start of his career, but he was second in 2 of them. So maybe he can sprint. I used Mr. Attila, who I actually prefer sprinting. He broke his maiden going 6 furlongs.
Well, they're going to have to beat Classic Rock, and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll show you my Rainbow Six ticket.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
And Gulfstream is pulling away.
Gulfstream blows them away with an eye-opening performance.
Awesome again has won. Gulfstream kicking clear. Judy the Beauty.
And welcome back to Gulfstream today, Ron and ACACIA. And we have a good main track and a good turf course this afternoon. And we have the Rainbow Six approaching $1 million. We'll show you my ticket right now. And I went 3 deep in the opening leg here with the 1, the 7, and the number 9. And right down the line, could not find that single today. And this is not an easy task and just a wide open affair. I like Kelly Tough a little bit in the 8th race, the 2-horse, but I had to get more horses into that race. So just a wide open affair. I couldn't find that one single. That's why I wanted Classic Rock in the Rainbow Six, but that did not happen.
I got lucky getting him in the early pick 5. It's kind of like a bit of a free bingo square if you like him.
Well, I started this race off here with the number 9, Pagiti, who's depart from an improved post today, post 9, after breaking from the outside in 3 consecutive races at the distance, including that late closing third from post 13 last time out. Terry Pompey, Jonathan Gonzalez, they must have left. 9 must look like heaven to them.
I know, compared to what this filly's had to deal with in her last couple. And you say, well, she was beaten by the number 1 in here in Regal's Hero, but there was only 3/4 of a length separating the 2 of them. So I'm right there with you. I think that this is definitely a very logical filly. I did use the number 1 Regal's Hero on top. I thought that she had trouble 2 starts back. And then last time, it seemed like she really put everything together. Like Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle, I don't think she's going to be the price that she was in her last couple of starts.
I don't think think so at all, and that improved post is certainly going to help. Ruggles Halo, it certainly has a big shot there, daughter of Poseidon's Warrior. Now, the reason I'm rushing along, because I want to hear about the long shot today. He's in there, third to number 2.
That's right. Well, yesterday, Ron and I both had Bingo Bango Bongo as our long shot. He was my top pick, and I think he got beat that much, and I think we screamed more at the TV for that race than perhaps the Kentucky Derby, but we'll see if we can get the number 2 Black Win home today. I'm giving just a little bit of a stab here based off of pedigree. She actually, this filly debuted on the turf against Maiden 50,000, never really ran a step, and she's actually been running okay on the dirt. So they're switching her back to the turf. She has 2 siblings that did win on the grass, Luca Panici in the saddle, and she's never run this low before for the 20,000.
And our long shots have been running very well, even though they'd be the same as mine. We haven't quite won, but we're real close. But we got
We're trying.
My long shot was scratched today, so we can't compete. Now you closed it out. You have in 4th and 3rd. Ledecky, I guess named after the swimmer. I hope with a very clean trip. Got carried wide on the first turn. Finished 6th last time out. Race number 7 this afternoon. 1 mile maiden claimer. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up $10,000. Jockey change on the 6. Make the rider Ray Lou Gutierrez has been riding in good form.
He has been in very good form. He got his first stakes win last week for a Mike Maker horse and Susie B, and has been able to keep that momentum up.
And we both started it off in here with the 1, but you're going to show your ticket.
That's right.
Singular?
Yeah, well, no, I did not. I actually singled in the last leg. So I used 3 horses in here. I think you've got to use Hot Hippie on the ticket for sure. But she's taking a drop in class, and I liked her quite a bit last time, full disclosure, and she did disappoint. So we'll see if she can make amends today. In race number 8, I went 3 deep in there. That's another tough crew. I like Kelly Tough as well. I think that he's going to improve second off the layoff. But you've got the likes of NICOLETTI, who's been in good form, and Chepstow, who's just as accountable as they come, really. In race number 9, I'm going just with 2 horses in the 5 Proper Princess and the 8 Dana's Ride. And in the 10th race, that's a race I did spread. I think there could be a very quick pace in there, and I do wonder if the 1 Second Mate just really takes advantage of that and closes into the quick pace. But I think you do have to use the Todd Pletcher runners in Big Daddy and Bold Daddy. So you've got a couple of daddies in there. And then I did single Flame Away in race, or it's not Flame Away, Flow Motion. Flame Away was the Mark Cassie runner in the Kentucky Derby yesterday. He's got Flow Motion in here today, and I expect a good effort second off the layoff.
Yeah, that's the horse to beat, certainly. And I did put the 7 on top, but I got the 4 on my ticket, too. In that particular race, we'll start it off here with the number 1 Hot Hippie, dropping to the $10,000 level after returning from the layoff the day you liked him. He finished that drifting 4 wide, you know, that 4th last time out. Danny Gargan, Tyler Gaffigan, class relief today.
There is some class relief today. It's also going to be her second start off the layoff. She had a really good work since that last race. April 26th at Palm Meadows went 4 furlongs in 48 and 4. And I think her second time going the mile is going to help as well.
Let's show you a stat on Danny Gargan's second start after a layoff and maiden claimers on the dirt. He's 4 for 10. It's limited, but he's 40%, 60% in the money with a $2.36 return of investment. So he does very well when he's doing what he's doing today.
Oh, absolutely. And even just looking through her past performances, her very first start back in January was against a very tough classy maiden special weight field. So I do expect, again, a better effort from her today. I used the number 4 Caribbean Girl in second, keeping Miguel Vasquez. Just thought that she ran solidly at this level last time with her first start for the barn.
Yeah, and the horse that you had further down the ticket had in second, Luz Estrella, who's stretching out to a mile, returned from an approximate 4-month layoff to finish a rallying second that day against the same caliber. I thought this horse had a chance, but I'm in your barn, too, with the Hot Hippie. I think that's the one to beat.
And it's a fun name.
Yeah, definitely. Being an old hippie, definitely. I don't know about the hot part, but certainly I'm an old hippie. Let's go to race number 8 this afternoon, and that's 1 mile and 1/16 allowance. Optional claimer 3 and up. They can run for the tag of $25,000 if they so choose. Scratch the 4 Torch Bearer in that race.
Okay.
Who'd you go with?
Okay, well, you're passing the torch. I see what you did there. Well, the number 2, Kelly Tough, we talked about this horse already. He came off of about a 7-month layoff last time out for trainer Eddie Pleasant Jr., and I thought ran a very good race off the bench to be second, just beating a length and 3/4, keeps Edgar Zayas aboard, and this is just, I think, a really solid horse with some back class, and again, it should improve second off the bench.
Yeah, and I used 8 further down your ticket, hook up another stretching out around 2 turns, re-rally last time out to finish third behind Kelly Tuff. That was going that mile last time out. It's Antonio Sano, MCL Jaramillo in the saddle today.
And I use Manolete. Aubrey Mirage's barn has been going very well lately, and this one had a really impressive win last time out. We're going to backtrack to that race. I know that he's stepping up in class off of the claim, and that's going to be the biggest question. But there's the number 2 Manolete, and I just wanted to show how game he was. We're picking it up at the quarter pole. He's in those white blinkers, and he moved rounding the final turn and overtook Indian Scout, who was the number 4 that day. In the final jumps of the races, I think Miguel Vasquez handles him very well. He stays off the claim, and we just keep talking about how well he's been riding.
Yeah, he's been riding great, so we'll see how this race plays out. But both of us sort of in agreement that Kelly Tuff might be tough in this spot.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Shep Stowe, I had to put him on the ticket. He's stretching out to one of his most accomplished distances. 5-time winner at the distance. He closed to be second. He always runs well.
He always does, and Ralph Zadie has several of these kind of older, hard-knocking geldings. He's got Luis Saez in the saddle on this one today, and I think that this horse is best when he can get the lead.
And let's go to race number 9. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
5 furlongs on the turf. Claimers, fillies, and mares, 3 and up. Non-winners of 3 in life or 3-year-olds. And well, let's see how we start. We both have the number 8, Dana's Ride. I'll defer to you.
Well, Dana's Ride has been pretty consistent lately. Her last start, which was February 21st, so she's been freshened a little bit. She's been on the shelf for a little while, but she ran a solid second at a big price that day behind Mojo's Queen. And I just think that she's kind of been finding herself. She's handy. She can be a little bit more forwardly placed. The barn has been going very, very well lately, and Tyler Gaffleone stays aboard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to like about Dana's Ride. Now, the number 5, who we both have in second, Prop or Princess, boy, was ultra game in defeat when she changed her racing surfaces and finished second. Beaten a half length. She was 21-1 at this level and distance on the turf. It's Joe Orsino, Nick Juarez in the saddle.
And she really did seem to run well on the turf, and it looked like it was kind of a case of a mare who just was having a hard time breaking through on the dirt. She was running very well. She was beaten only a head 2 starts back at a shorter price. They switched her over to the grass, and she was a much bigger price that day because she was technically a dirt horse, and she really seemed to relish that. She's by Crown of Thorns. I don't think that the turf should be any question for her, and we'll see if she can get that elusive third win.
The third round. We'll close it out with the 6, Miss KOC, who's hoping to save more for the stretch drive. Set the pace, faded at the 8 pole to finish third behind Proper Princess last time out.
Yeah, and Miss KOC has quite a bit of early speed, and that's definitely one of her best weapons.
Well, let's go to race number 10 this afternoon. This is, again, on the turf at 1 mile. Starting today with the turf course listed as good. It's an allowance optional claimer for 3-year-olds and upwards $62,500. We mentioned daddies before, and Bold Daddy is on top of my ticket, turning back to a mile after notching his 3rd consecutive turf victory when he defeated 25 optional claimers, going a mile into 16th. Todd Pletcher, Tyler Gaffleone, consistent son of Scat Daddy.
He's very consistent, and of course, Scat Daddy with his son Justify winning the Kentucky Derby yesterday. And Bold Daddy's won 3 races in a row, which has been so impressive. And if you look back to how he broke his maiden, first of all, he broke his maiden for the $35,000 tag, which in and of itself is interesting, and as he was a $180,000 purchase. But he seemed to have proved them wrong as he got going. But he came from off the pace that day when he broke his maiden. Showed speed in his last 2. I like that he has that versatility because his stablemate, Big Daddy, who's switching to the turf, the Chilean bred, he has a lot of early speed, as does Mo Maverick and certainly General Magooby on the outside. So if Bold Daddy's able to close, that really could be the key for him. I took the number 1 second mate, who I thought was going to sit the trip in here for Jane Sibeli, who's just been, it seems like she's been firing with both guns blazing. The horses have been running really well, and Nick Juarez in the saddle.
Yeah, I put this one further down, and when I was looking this morning, I said maybe I should have respected this horse a little bit more. But I did put the number 4, Mo Maverick, in second. I'll tell you why. This one runs exceptionally well fresh. He's making his first start. He uses tactical speed to win the Lamplighter at Monmouth. Now, it was last July. It's George Weaver, Edgar Zayas atop this multiple stakes place, son of Uncle Mo. Of course, the guesswork. Is he ready? Are they just getting him ready for something down the road? But I thought Mo Maverick, just class-wise, had to be somewhere on my ticket.
He ran in the Grade 2 Penn Mile 2 starts back against the likes of Frostmorn. So it was 2 starts back, meaning last June.
Right.
So the layoff is the question, but he has faced some tough horses.
Well, let's go to our final race on the card. It's 1 mile on the turf. Claimers 3 and up, non-winners of 2 or 3-year-olds. 25 down to 20. Couple of scratches in here. And the number 2, Oxbro, who is my long shot today. And the number 9, Cosmic Halo. And your single in here, the number 4, Flow Motion. This should be primed and ready to get his picture taken.
I think he should be too. And not only do I like saying the name Flow Motion, but I think that his race last time out was very solid. He has a lot of natural early speed. He'd been running against Tougher up at Woodbine before the layoff. They dropped him in for the $25,000 tag. He comes back at the comparable level, and it looked like that's going to serve as a really good bottom underneath of him.
Well, let's show you a stat of Marcassi, second after the layoff, mid-level claimers on the turf. Right here at Gulfstream Park, a limited sampling. He's 4 for 21, 19%, but he's in the money 57% of the time, and a $1.16 return of investment. Just something to add to your thought process when you're handicapping. Now, don't overlook. Number 7, don't overlook. This one is an obvious choice, I think, to score in the nightcap. But moving to the David Fawkes bond this afternoon after the claim coming up a nose, just a nose of notch in this condition at 7.5 rolling. He lost by about that much.
He really did. And you say, well, he was beaten as the favorite, but that was a very tough beat for sure. First off the claim for Dave Fawkes, and this is a horse I think really fits at this level as well.
One other horse I want to touch on is the 6, Looking Forever. He's hoping for a clean trip. He followed that $16,000 maiden victory a couple of starts back. Then he has a rough trip. He breaks slowly. He's in tight quarters on the inside. And I like the fact that Miguel Vasquez takes the return call, the riding assignment. So I want to see how this horse runs. I think it's 15-1 on the morning line or something like that.
And this horse is out of a stack mare, so I'd have to know that you'd like him.
You noticed that, did you?
You know Ron's angles.
Well, that's how we see this Sunday card. 11 races. The main track good. The turf course listed as good. Rainbow 6 starts in race number 6 with lots of money in it.
That's right. Good luck today, everyone. Thanks for joining us at Gulfstream Park.